Back in 2021, I started development on a cat platformer game, and as you can tell by the 29 separate ground objects, I had no idea what I was doing. So I decided to finish this game, and I still have no idea what I'm doing. My first step was to change game engine from Unity to Godot. I did this partly because of Unity's newfound policies, but also because Godot is kind of known as a really beginner-friendly engine. So in the first day, I set up some basic movement just like the stuff in Unity, but I really focused on making it as good as I could because this will be the base of the platformer game. I also went ahead and stole some animations from itch.io and set those up. I then found a tile map on itch.io and I made a quick little map to play around in. This was originally supposed to be a game like Jump King, where you climb vertically up to an eventual victory, but if you fall, you're punished quite hard. I also added jump buffering, which just means that if you press jump while you're in the air right before you hit the ground, it will still register your jump and you'll jump as soon as you hit the ground, even though you timed it a bit early. I also added coyote jumps, which refers to old cartoons and being able to run off a cliff but then still float in air. And pretty much the point is that if you fall off a platform, you can still jump for a small amount of time after being off the ground. Both coyote jumps and jump buffering just make the game feel a lot more responsive to the player, even though we're really giving them an unfair advantage. Next thing that I worked on adding was a dive ability, which my Unity game had, and which was originally inspired by the 3D Land Mario cat suit. In the Unity game, I also had it so that if you timed a jump when you hit a wall, you'd get a boost of vertical speed, but instead, I made it so that if you hit a wall, you bounce off. The last thing I decided to add to the game for this video was the Pounce ability, which would act sort of like a long jump, like the ones in Mario 3D World. But the twist here is that you'd have to hit a skill check like the ones from Dead by Daylight for the jump to go through. Eventually, I got this working, and I'm pretty happy with it. The final thing that I want to talk about is the direction of the game. I originally wanted this to be like Jump King, like I said, but I realized that I've added only kind of horizontal movement abilities, which won't work well with such a vertical map. So I think that I'm going to have to take the game in a more Celeste or Super Meat Boy-like direction, with a mix of horizontal and vertical levels. I also really like the Pounce that I've made with the skill check, but for it to be a good part of the game, I think we're going to have some kind of time limit. The character's going to have to get through a room fast enough, and they're going to have to hit these skill checks fast enough, because if they don't, they're going to die from time. I'm also not in love with the dive ability, because I feel like it kind of makes the Pounce ability meaningless. I'm also not sure about the theming of the game. It was originally going to be a mountain climbing theme like Celeste or Jump King, but I don't think that's going to work well anymore. And I have no ideas for any other different themes, especially since I have to try to incorporate the fact that we're a cat. And also, I want to try to really keep the scope of the game low. This is literally my first game that I'm ever actually going to finish, and it does not have to be a long or a well done game. I want to finish it and I want it to be cohesive. So if you have any ideas, please let me know in the comments, and like and subscribe.